Well, good morning again. This is Dr. Bill Wyatt with the American Orthodontic Society, and I'm speaking from beautiful Glen Rose, Texas here, and I wanted to go over cysts and understanding them. And there's a lot to understand about cystic tissue. It's epithelial tissue, and it forms around each tooth. As the tooth is developing in there, this is a coat or filling material around that crown as if it were a balloon, and it's filled with moisture or water inside that this follicle. We call it a follicle around the tooth. But then that follicle can develop into a cyst, or various things can happen in there that would swell up. And I've seen some unusual cysts. I'll tell you about some of them today before we get through. So let's get started on this young lady. And she's had, let me get this area going here. This young lady has a rather gummy smile here, but you'll notice her upper lip is very, very narrow. Let me get the pen here. She's got a very small upper lip. Now when somebody has this lip like that that's real short, usually they've been a mouth breather or some problem has happened in there. So you can get that person to stretch that lip over their teeth and just pull down on it. And I know when I was a young guy, I had a mouth like that, and it was exposed. So the orthodontist that my stepmother worked for, and I stayed at his office a lot, and he had me pull my lip down like that and stretch it. Now that I'm old, you can hardly see my upper front teeth, yet they're large. So you can change that lip structure by just stretching the lip down. And so these platter lip people can develop the lips out huge, so you don't need that much of it. So let's get on back to the cysts again. Now she's had several other orthodontic problems like crossbites here. The upper laterals are coming in way behind here, and we'll have to fix something here to jump those laterals over, and we do that. Now this is something in 30 of 93 when we worked on this young lady. And the deep bite, these cuspids are coming in out here, and they're crowded out to the side. There's not room for the cuspids to come through. So these are just normal things that are wrong with a young person or anybody coming in with different problems, what they come in to see about. And so you try to cover the whole thing when you're treating the person. So these, looking on the other side, you can see those laterals that are in crossbite back there, 98 of 93. So here's the side over here, and this deciduous teeth in here. That's a permanent tooth. These are deciduous teeth. This is a permanent tooth coming in this area right there. Now, here there was a stainless steel crown put over this, and it was before I saw this young lady. I didn't put that crown on there for sure. And a lot of times they'll have a tooth that is abscessed or it's got a cavity in it that's questionable, and they may think they get everything out and they put a crown over it and leave that crown in there, and that keeps the pressure from coming out through the tooth. Now this is just looking up above, and you can see this tooth that had a stainless steel crown. Well, the crown's gone now, and the teeth are kind of move together over it. And we have a serious crowded problem in this case right here, which will show up later in the x-rays. Now, another thing about teeth as they erupt into the mouth, this is a cuspid, the follicle around the cuspid developing, or any tooth, will move the bone away from it. But when it runs into the roots of deciduous teeth, it will resorb those roots too. But when it gets to the crown or the enamel part of the deciduous tooth, these follicular cysts are formed down here. They cannot eat away the enamel, so they get caught underneath the tooth after they've eaten away the root structure and everything except the enamel, and then they may get hung by a tooth part of the root over here. So there's a lot to learn about cysts. Now these are baby teeth, of course, right here, and this is permanent cuspids coming in, and the deciduous cuspids are gone completely. All right, excuse me. This is 8 of 93. Now, I did not see this young lady for some time. And there that tooth is again, and there's a big cyst that's formed up in here. Now this is 2 of 95. So 8 of 93, that'd be 8 of 94, 8 of 95. It's not quite 2 years later. That's like about 3 months, been 2 years, that I saw her. She came in again, and I looked at this problem that she had. Now we straightened this all out and everything, got it lined up, ready to go. This is 95. And we eliminated these teeth, which this will all come up in the x-rays now. So here is a girl, it was 93, I forget, when we first saw this young lady, well, I saw her in 91, and then I didn't see her again till 93. So look where this tooth is right here, and watch what happens. Now she's got a terrible crowded problem. I mean, trying to get these teeth into this small area. Now look what large laterals she's got, see? And so this didn't leave much room up here for these teeth to come in. So this is 1991. Now that's January of 91, and we'll come in here to 93, I believe, when we saw her. Now watch what happens to this. This this couldn't get the pressure off, so it formed a cyst in this area. And watch what that cyst does to those teeth. The cyst can push a tooth, and it'll get behind it and shove it, got the root going up in the sinus over here. Here's the extra tooth that didn't have room for, and this was coming from a stainless steel crown that couldn't let the pressure off out here, and now this pressure is growing, and this is a follicular cyst all up in this area right here. Now, I've got another case we sent to an oral surgeon. I'm going to do a video on it next, and you can see where they went in and took a whole shell. It was a big cyst like this, and they flapped, goes back, took all this out, and they pushed a molar up kind of like that, and they took the molar out, and that was a mistake. Now watch what this does too, where we go in and we're going to take that tooth out, and we're going to leave a space in here for that to come down. Over on the other side, we've got an excessive crowded problem too. You got this cuspid coming in, forming a cyst here. Now this tooth in here is be the one that we'll take out. And we take this one over here, the baby tooth out, and then these two teeth will come in and fill this space right in here. Now you go back, and I'm going to go now to 93 to 94, January of 94, and this was 8 of 93. So we've got from 8 to 12, got 4 months in there, and we've got in January of 94, so that's just about 5 months later. All right, and during this 5 months, this follicle rounded back out, but it was open here, so it reduced this cyst, lost the pressure. So this tooth is coming on in here. Now watch, this tooth was growing into the root of this lateral. I'm going to go back and show you that. See, this cuspid tooth was coming into this lateral, so you got this crooked tooth forming right there. I'll erase that and you can see that. Now, when we take this out and get rid of the pressure in here, this tooth moves down, but this crooked root formed, and it's going to stay there with that case. Over here, the same, very similar thing. You're going to have a crook in the root too. So let's go down to 94. And you see that crook up here? That tooth had pushed into that. And this crook over here where this tooth is pushed into that. And we took the tooth out here. Now watch this tooth. The follicle around this tooth was still there. We got the follicle away from this. Now this will push this tooth back, pushing it back over here, pushes these teeth back two on the bottom. If you go back and look at those bottom teeth, you see how they were growing into the laterals right here. And now when you take this out, that tooth will come, that follicle will again form a round ball. It tries to do that. And it'll push against the enamel and everything, and it'll move. If you mash it on one side, it'll move the ball over this way, and the ball carries the tooth with it. This is what we call follicular movement of the teeth. Now watch this a little bit further now. Okay, this is 94. And you see these teeth are pulled away from here. Over here, they're coming in. We've got a tooth erupting here, and it'll eat the root of this tooth away, but the crown will stay there. The enamel will stay. Now we'll go to from 94 and 8. She's age 10 and 4 months at this point. Now here we go to 90, that's 6 of 94, I believe, right in there. Then she's age 10 and 9 at this point. Look where this tooth that had been growing into this crooked root, this one over here has some crook to it, but not as much. And the follicle around this moved that tooth over, and it's headed straight down into this hole. And that's what this follicle moved this tooth and came down here. So if you get a cyst forming and it has shoved a tooth way back out of proportion, it took the root of this tooth and stuck it out into the sinus. I'm going to back up so you can see that now. I'm going to go back about 2 or 3 times. Now look where this tooth was pushed. The root was up here in the sinus. Now, you would think, well, I'm going to have to go in and extract that tooth or do something wrong. And sometimes the oral surgeon doesn't understand that this tooth will come on down and how the follicle, it brings this tooth down. It'll move the tooth over, and this tooth will erupt down. Now watch it. Watch the root of it come out of that sinus there. I'm going to go one jump. There it came out part of the way and headed down. And here is another gap in there, and the tooth is headed straight down in the mouth. Now, you need to understand this kind of movement of children's teeth. Now, this young lady had a large tooth. Look at the size of these laterals. Now, somewhere in here, one of the parents has bigger teeth than the other one, and this young lady inherited the large tooth, but she has a smaller facial structure in here. And so the teeth are very crowded in that situation, and it is better to remove them. Now, she doesn't have any wisdom teeth coming, yet she's 10 and 9, and these are probably wisdom teeth or 12 molars coming in here. If they're 12, they're very far behind. If they're wisdom teeth, they're ahead of time. Now, all that's got to come in here by 12, if those are 12-year molars. Now, we'll go to another time here from age 10 and 9, and I can't see that date exactly up there. Looks like something. Now, here we are. She's age 11 and 5 of this time. This tooth is in place. We got it. There's the crook where that tooth was growing into that, and the root of it was up in the sinus here. And it has moved down that much. I didn't have to go get it. It came in there. Now over here, this one got crossways coming in here and got hung up on the enamel of the crown of this deciduous tooth. And it can't eat that away. If I'd seen her a little earlier, I would have extracted that tooth right there, and this one would come in. So we go and get that out. Let's go now for another few years. Let's see, age 11, 5, and it's 95. All right, here's where that tooth was pushed. You see, it pushed it up to there. And this is a follicular cyst around this, pushing, and this is a follicle around that. So it's two cysts, or a follicle, which is a cyst. All the teeth have a little sac like that. They come through. This one right here, and this formed around one here and developed into a cyst, and it pushed this tooth from here. If you go back where that was, it was like that, but when it came in, it shoved it. Now there it is in 95. Now watch that thing move down. It goes in, we put it in place, and the teeth are really large laterals, and this tooth is hung up on the root here, on the enamel, and it can't eat that away. So you get one pushes there, and it'll try to grow, and it sometimes will shove the whole thing out. But I've taken baby teeth out, and it'd just be a shell of enamel. There wouldn't be any dentin inside at all like that. Now let's see what we go to another time. That tooth up here got caught, so we took this out, and then that came on down in place. It took some time for that to happen. So here we are in 96. Now this is pediatric dentistry. And why in the dickens are pediatric dentists taught to take care of cases like this? It lasts for years. We started her way back there. And you may go, and I'm going to finish this without finishing it up, but the rest of it's just simple stuff. And so it still takes some time to finish this young lady up and put her in retainers. What's that? So she's missing her bicuspids we took out, her wisdom teeth. Now she's 12 and 9. This is just now getting in. These aren't in. So these are most likely a kind of a half-breed between a 12-year molar and a wisdom tooth. The wisdom tooth usually comes in about 17 or 18, and the 12-year molars come in at 12. But here we are, almost 13. They still haven't got in. So this is I call it a kind of half-breed tooth. But she's missing a tooth here and a tooth, 4 teeth there, and we took out 4 teeth in this area. Now you could have expanded this mouth and put those in place, but you'd have a person that was so full in the face it wouldn't look good. Now this is more or less where the mouth pressure is equal. I didn't try to mess with that, and the teeth always go in. That's not we have artificial intelligence now we're dealing with, but this is not artificial intelligence. That teeth follow the pressure in the mouth. When you swallow right, breathe right, everything, and your teeth get pushed into place. And this is the truth. It's no artificial thing about it. That's the way nature made it. And so that pressure pushed those teeth in there. We go back and finish this up now, get that down, straighten this out. So we still got some time to watch this case, to go through it. Now here, this is the case when we started in 93, and there it is, 96. So that was a tremendous amount of time in there. She's 12 and 9 there. Over here, I don't have her age, but we'll see. Now this is 95, and we've jumped the bite, brought the lateral teeth out. She had them back in here. So you look at this case over a period of time. If you're a pediatric dentist, you can't be sending this child back and forth to an orthodontist. Now you can hire one to come to your practice if you wanted to, but you'd have to teach him orthodontics for these children, because very few orthodontic programs go into what the various things that happen in deciduous teeth. Now some of them they study the things that happen, like ectopic erupting 6-year molars in the back and all these. They may study some of that, but the orthodontists, I know pediatric dentist group, maybe 3 or 4 pediatric, hire an orthodontist, but they have to teach him or show him the ways that you do the orthodontics for kids. And some of these cases I've had to take 8 or 9 years, or you just waiting on things to develop and going through with it. So that's what I'm really griping about, is that the dental schools and the orthodontic portions in the school are not teaching the pediatric dentist how to do orthodontics. And it is ridiculously wrong. Those pediatric dentists, I have worked with many, many pediatric dentists, and had Dr. Roy Wolf in St. Louis, had a huge study club, and he was a pediatric dentist that really went in for doing orthodontics. And I went up there and spoke to his group, I don't know how many times, on pediatric orthodontics, or things that we did on children to bring their teeth in correct, like that reduction stuff that we have. All right, here we've got that lined up, and this was 95, and that's 93. That's kind of the way it was. So you open the bite, those are simple things that we do. And that's a little flexible wire in there that does a lot of things. It expands in here, you see, they expanded that. And we had to expand some to get these cuspids in, even though the teeth are missing. And we took them out in there. And it did not flatten her face out either. It looked much better. We'll correct that. 93, 95. And that's as far as, I had some other pictures of this, but they got misplaced over the years. And I don't have the finishing out of the case, but you see the finishing, it'll be very simple. It's almost done. So thank you for watching, and just think, if you're a pediatric dentist or you're a dentist, get to your schools and tell them, train the pediatric dentist to do this orthodontics, which goes over a period of years while you're working on the child. In a lot of these cases, I've had them that we would work on for maybe 8 or 10 years before we got through with them, and then we'd watch their retention for years after that. And this is what we really ought to learn to do. And in the schools, I know maybe the orthodontic departments kind of dominate the schools. I've had many good orthodontists, though, that has helped me over the years, but there's somebody that's running the show back there that's not letting the pediatric dentists, they're not training them in the orthodontic school. They just have to train it after they get out. And we've had many of them in the American Orthodontic Society that I've worked with for the last probably 55 or more years, and there maybe 60 years. And I have taught and worked with pediatric dentists. In fact, one went with me for years, and we taught together in here. So this is what I am hoping to get done, but I don't have a whole lot of time left in this world. So I'm begging you, people who pay attention to this pediatric dentist, to go to your schools and tell them, start teaching the pediatric dentist orthodontics, or anybody working with children, whether a pediatric dentist or not. If you're going to work with children, you need to know these things about orthodontics. So I'm going to sign out here, and I want to show another case where the surgery took it out. Now I was in Africa for 3 years, and I saw some cysts that were unbelievably large. One man was sent in from one of the hospitals while I was in Ibadan, Nigeria. I had this clinic, and this man had a jawbone. It looked like it was his jawbone was almost as big as my wrist, stuck out like that, looked so big, and he had a hole in it underneath here with iodoform gauze, and he was sent to me from the hospital, and we pulled that gauze out, and I stuck a little flashlight in that thing looking down, and the whole jaw was a cyst, and the roots of the teeth were hanging down like you were in a cave, and these stalactites or whatever hanging down. I looked in there with that little light, I could see that. And what I was going to do was just keep that open, to keep changing that gauze over a period of months, and that jaw would have shrunk up again and back to normal. But the guy did not understand. He didn't speak any language, and none of the young men working for me did, and he disappeared. I don't know whatever happened to him. But I had another guy, a policeman in Enugu, had a cyst in here. There's a follicular cyst on a cusp as big as a small hen egg. and I kept it open, and the whole thing just went away, and the teeth came back to their place. So I thank you for watching, but there's a lot to know about cysts, and it is an epithelial tissue that will allow liquid to come in, but it won't let it go out. So it gets bigger, and as it gets big, it pushes bone out of the way like nothing. It runs into the enamel of the teeth, and it can't do much. It can eat the roots of the way, but not the permanent teeth, except sometimes it does. So thank you for watching, and I'm going to sign out here, and I hope you'll join our group and subscribe to one of our channels here. Thank you now, and I'll say goodbye.